Hello boys and girls. Welcome to Virtual Realms. I'm Ranger 1, and we are back in the bizarre world of ARK, Survival Evolved. And we have a mission. Just a few minutes ago, I was flying up to the glacial area of the map. I was getting the last components necessary for a suit of fur armor to replace the one that I lost in an unfortunate skydiving accident not too terribly long ago. And I had seen that a couple of new creatures had been spotted around the ARK, one of them being a small, flightless bird known as Karuku watakis. Now these harmless birds are apparently very friendly and have a chipper disposition, and I took it into my mind to see if I could find some of them in their natural habitat. I was in the cold north anyway, so I thought, what the heck? And I spotted them. These poor, misbegotten creatures had managed to get themselves stranded out on an ice floe in the middle of nowhere. Stranded, with no way of leaving the rock, their poor, featherless wings unable to lift them into the air. They had nowhere to go, and surely were about to die a most unfortunate and painful death by starvation. Or, at the very least, they would freeze to death. So I snatched up one baby from the group that was wandering hopelessly on the shore and took it back to nurse it back to health in my animal sanctuary back at home. And I decided that I would take the love boat back in a rescue mission and attempt to save the rest of the group before the harsh environment of ARK led to their demise. Now, the love boat is a very capable craft, specially reinforced by yours truly to not only survive the primordial hazards and horrors of the world of ARK, but also to serve as an animal rescue transport. For ARK is a cruel and dangerous place, and quite often I find animals in need of being transported away from imminent danger and death back to the safety of my sanctuary. I am, of course, an animal lover at heart, and when I see a poor, unfortunate animal in danger out in the wild, my heart goes out to it, and I have no compunctions whatsoever of killing hundreds, if not thousands, of other creatures to be able to get to it and rescue it, uproot it from its natural, happy environment, and bring it back to add to my collection of rescued animals. Thanks to the superb hydrodynamic design of the love boat, we have made excellent time, despite the dangers and inclement weather that we have met along the way. That ice floe dead ahead is the island of horror, the trap that is just about to claim the lives of countless small, helpless, flightless birds. I pray that we get to them in time. As we near the icy shore, I notice again just how unstable that icy arch is. It looks like it could collapse on those poor, unfortunate birds at any moment. I must navigate very carefully, because these icy floes could easily rip the bottom out of even such a sturdy craft as the love boat. For a moment, I think perhaps I've gotten stuck, forever frozen in this endless sea of ice, but I managed to break free and put the loading ramp on the nose of the love boat safely on the shore. Now, these birds ahead of me I had already made contact with. I had managed to tranquilize a few of them without causing them too much harm, and they are used to my presence. At this point, all I need do is load them onto the boat and take them to safety. All along the way on my return trip, I had been worried that perhaps these poor birds would freeze to death before I could return. Fortunately, in my oasis, my sanctuary, the temperatures rarely fall below 80 degrees, and I'm sure they'll be far more comfortable there than they are on this frozen piece of ice. Look at the poor things. They can barely walk. They must be weak with hunger, as there's nothing to eat out here. I had noticed that there was a much larger concentration of the birds on the other side of this ice floe, and I had to pause to consider how they could still be alive. Oh, there's always one that follows no matter what. Go back, you brave, loyal little bird. So I had to consider the fact that perhaps some of these creatures had managed to survive, carnivores that they are, through preying on the hard and unpalatable trilobites that sometimes come up on the shore, or, hopefully not, resorted to animal cannibalism, preying on their own kind. Chilled by the thought, I resolved then and there that I would try to rescue as many of the birds on the other side of the ice floe as possible before I was done. I didn't have a moment to spare. Well, okay, these trilobites do contain pearls sometimes, so maybe I did have a moment to spare, but no more than a moment, and I got on my way as quickly as I possibly could. Carefully, I worked my way over to the other shore and put the love boat into a snug berth. I was anxious to start my humanitarian work as quickly as I could. As I craft up some more of my humane tranquilizer crossbow bolts, I noticed that some of these poor birds are so bewildered they actually rushed into the icy waters to their death in a blind panic. It's really sad that these creatures, so poorly adapted to survival in this environment, should be deposited here by the capricious and mysterious powers that control the ARK. Well, I'm not one to let such cruelty go unanswered. So I interpose my body between one of the poor kiruku and begin to tranquilize it as humanely as possible. Don't worry, they'll be fine. The tranquilizer will enter their bloodstream and they'll be knocked unconscious in short order. Fear not, he won't feel a thing. It'll all be over in just a moment. The poor thing is so confused. No, little fella, stay away from the water, you'll hurt yourself. There, now he's down and... oh, he's dead. Oh my God. You know what this means? This means that I've waited almost too long. These poor creatures are on death's door. Even a mild tranquilizer is enough to push them over the edge. This is horrible. There are well over a dozen of these emaciated creatures here on this ice floe. And I decide that I'm going to do my best to save as many of them as I can before death takes its inevitable toll. I'm going to speed through the next few minutes, when even the most humanitarian of methods can cause death to these poor, fragile creatures. It makes for some grim work. In the end, I was able to save only 3 more of them, the rest having succumbed to the detrimental effects that the tranquilizers had on their weakened condition or hurled themselves to their deaths in the icy water. But at least I can be assured that despite the bad visibility, I saved every last one that I could. We left none behind. The hard part's over. All that's left now is the long voyage toward home and safety. You can bid your icy prison farewell, my small charges. You're in good hands now. It was odd. I could almost see what looked like longing in their eyes as they gazed back at their frozen prison. I can only assume that it's a desire on their part to be reunited with their now lost companions. Cheer up, buckaroos. Your life is about to take a turn for the better, and you can take consolation in the fact that you will never have to see this frozen hell again. We soon leave the frozen wasteland behind, and I change into lighter clothing. There's nothing more uncomfortable than being outfitted for cold weather and finding yourself in balmy and temperate waters. And as we sailed, I contemplated the immensity of the good deed that I had just wrought, and the meaning of life, and other such weighty matters. And as we sailed and I was preoccupied in this way, a small miracle occurred. Even after their ordeal, suddenly amidst that hellish chaos, now that calmness and order had entered their lives, a new life was created. Right there on the deck of the appropriately named Love Boat, a small egg appeared. No, not that. There it is. Hello, little fella. Welcome to life. Hi, little guy. We're gonna... Oh, come back. Goodbye, little fella. It was nice meeting you. Missed it by that much. Well, at least he died free. Well, not everything on our triumphant voyage home was a celebration of life. This is ARK, after all, a savage place. I detected movement on the shore where I was going to beach the craft, next to the easiest route to take to the animal sanctuary. My keen jungle senses snapped to the fore, and I spot what is causing the disturbance. There's a Carnotaurus hunting on the shore, a nasty bird. So now I have a problem. How am I going to get the 7 dwarves past that Carnotaurus to the safety of the sanctuary? I decide to bide my time. In ARK, anything can happen, and it just so happens that a wild Phiomia was wandering nearby. If I played my cards right, that Phiomia's misfortune could be my ticket home. The Carnotaurus freezes. Is he stuck? That might work too. He eyes the Phiomia, and then suddenly he lunges to the attack. Thank goodness we hadn't assumed he was stuck. No, don't run toward the raft, you idiot. Run the other way. Run the other way. Oh, good. He got away. The Phiomia is running up the beach as fast as his little pig mole legs can carry him. Don't get stuck. You have to draw him away. Good. Over the rock. Keep going. Even that pesky little D-Lo is going. Now's our chance. I beach the Love Boat, and I prepare to disembark our passengers as quickly as possible. Come on, my little friends. We may not have long. Let's get organized as quickly as we can. Everyone ready? All right. Safe so far. That's just a parasaur. Okay, fellas. Time to hit the beach. Come on, you little freaks. Work with me. Well, congratulations, fellas. You managed to sprint all of about 20 feet, but I think you may have made it to safety. Let's go. I'm certain that we've seen the last of that Carnotaurus and that Phiomia. They shouldn't bother us again. Roughly 72 hours later, we finally made it to the safety of the sanctuary gates. I have to admit I was getting a little bit excited. I was anxious to show these cute little fellas their new home. I've named most of them, quite originally I think, variations on the word tux, because it looks like they're wearing little tuxedos. I know nobody's ever realized that before, but it's true, they do. But the leader, the alpha male of the pack, I've named Tuxford, because Tuxford is the name of the EVE Online developer that was famous for single-handedly shutting down the entire EVE universe by pushing the wrong button at the wrong time. Don't worry, Tuxford. I'm sure you've lived that fiasco down long ago. I mean, what kind of jerk would bring it up time and again years after the fact? All right, gentlemen, you're finally here. Welcome to the sanctuary. Here, creatures of all descriptions are free to wander around the grounds to their heart's content. Free to live out their lives as they see fit. Well, unless I find them, particularly valuable or of high level, and then I keep them locked up over there in the main work shed. But you don't have to worry about that, unless, of course, your eggs prove to make a particularly viable form of kibble that I need. But the chances are pretty good that you're going to be able to live out the rest of your days here in peace and freedom. Just ignore all the carnivores. They're well trained and they shouldn't offer you any harm. You might be aware that occasionally wild creatures do fall into the sanctuary, but if they're peaceful, I allow them to live here in peace. Oh, it's Paralegal, my loyal and trusty parasaur. Had to come over and say hello to our new guests. Just line up and I'll set you free to wander the grounds. No strings attached. I make my solemn promise to you that I will keep the food bins completely full of fresh, tasty... Oh, a snack. Thank you. Full of fresh and tasty meat, and that you'll never again be forced by me to eat the bodies of your dead companions because there was no other food source available at the time. And your children will be able to grow up strong and proud. Well, as long as I've authorized the breeding, of course. But given that, they're free to do as they wish. Come on, just a few of you left. Be free, little Tux. Be free, little Tuxette. Be free, other little Tuxette. And there they go. Look at them. They're so happy. They love it here. Look at the little hearts. They love it in the sanctuary. And I love it here too. An oasis of calm and order in the midst of chaos, where things are nice and predictable and what is that sound? Who's splashing around in the water? Oh, it's a Phiomia and a... Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Tuxette 1, get out of there. Waddle for your life. You are not getting my Kiruku. Animal friends, attack! Parasaurs! Hurl yourselves at him. I'm so proud of my animal companions. They hurled themselves into the fray without a thought of personal safety at all, and felled the foul Carnotaurus before he was able to harm the hair of a single penguin's head. Tuxette 3, you're a little late, sweetie. The battle's already over. Good effort, though. Good effort. We emerged victorious, but we did not escape unscathed. Poor, loyal paralegal threw herself between me and the Carnotaurus and died to a hastily jabbed lance in the middle of her back. Sorry about that, paralegal, but your sacrifice will not have been in vain. All right, everyone. Dinner in 5. That's how life is here in the sanctuary. Everyone throws in together for mutual defense, no matter how insignificant or weak they may be. And our new residents, our Kiruku, seem to be fitting in just fine. Let's take a moment and go over to the workshop now. It's become a makeshift nursery, and check on the young Kiruku that we rescued prior to our epic journey. Yep, there he is, safe and sound and eating like a horse. It seems that he's particularly fond of Paris horse steaks. You know what? I'm going to rename him. I'm going to call him Tuxford Jr. Just doing my bit to make sure that the legacy of Tuxford is never forgotten. And now it's time to sit back after a hard day's good work saving those poor flightless birds from a slow, isolated death from starvation, and do the thing that I enjoy doing most, surveying my humble domain. Peaceful and tranquil, filled with happy animals wandering about, living out their lives as they see fit, in almost absolute safety. The grounds are literally teeming with herds of herbivores and well-trained carnivores that wouldn't hurt a fly. Even the pond itself is full of beautiful tropical coelacanths and penguin. Huh. Apparently they can swim like a fish and weren't stranded at all. Who knew? Ah, well, never mind. They're still better off here in the safety of my sanctuary, where I can take good care of them. After all, ARK is a dangerous and savage place. Have a good night, guys. And until I see you again, good hunting. Thanks for watching. I hope you were entertained. If you liked the video, please remember to subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you. And I'll see you next time.